All right. Call the Tuesday, October 13th meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority to order. And I can see you guys on the screen, so I'll try to watch. If you need, if you've got something you want to say, or feel free to just raise your hand, comment, or whatever. So we're going to go right into the meeting. Approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority on September 22nd, 2020. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Okay, and they were long minutes. Wow. Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as printed. 2, approve the airport vouchers totaling $58,669.70.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been first and seconded. Roll call vote.
Haugen,
Aye.
Engen,
Aye.
Cosgriff,
Aye.
Lind,
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye. 3, approve the individual vouchers as follows, A through G. Any questions? Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the vouchers A through G as published.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the vouchers. Are there any questions? And if you're not speaking, could you please mute your microphone? We're getting some feedback. Are any questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Haugen,
Aye.
Engen,
Aye.
Cosgriff,
Aye.
Lind,
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye. Okay, number 4, airport property update. Sean.
Okay, at our last meeting, you had indicated that we should prepare a legal ad for the Fargo Forum to advertise for sale the 2.3 acre tract, more or less, that's adjacent to the Mathern property, who has made it known to us that they are interested in purchasing the property. So Stacy had put together this draft that we intend on putting into the legal section of the form to publicly advertise this. We'll put it on our website as well, just to let people know it's there. I guess we're looking for any feedback from the board members or anyone that on the language. If none, we will proceed to advertise as presented. Any feedback, Mr.
And then John,
Costa?
I see that Patsy's on the screen. I'm not sure if she wanted to add anything.
Okay.
We do have their
Go ahead, Patsy. I do see you on there now. Just take it off mute.
Yeah, take it off mute.
You're still on mute. Patsy, you're still on mute.
She's got to click on the screen.
You gotta click on the screen, Patsy, please. You had muted it before, just go back to the same place and unmute it.
You're still on mute, Patsy. Should be at the bottom.
lower left-hand corner, little
Tell us.
microphone.
Tell her it's not her phone.
Lower
it's
left-hand
Zoom.
corner.
She's got to unmute.
Yeah, it's not on your phone. It's on the Zoom that you have to unmute. So it's on the Zoom screen, Patsy.
Did she hang up and try calling again?
Well,
There you go. Okay, there I am. For some reason, I lost the picture and I couldn't get back to the Zoom button, to the mute button. But anyway, my apologies. I didn't really have any comment. The only comment is that I'm definitely going to hire her for an appraisal when we decide to sell our house.
good point.
Yeah, but I think everything else. I think everything else looked great, and we really appreciate all the efforts you're putting into to get this bill through. And
Yeah,
there'll be no interest.
Okay, so this is Sean from the airport. So we will probably put one sign for sale by owner out there on the lot someplace. We'll go by Shields or somewhere and pick up a for sale by owner sign and in place there as well for the duration of how long the public advertisement will be there. We do have in there, Patty, that an interested party shall be allowed to match any offer to purchase the property.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I don't know. I went through the appraisal pretty thoroughly, just more out of curiosity because I've never seen one before. But I was surprised that she had listed that we use it for agricultural use. So, but I wouldn't assume somebody could come in and dig it up. But I thought that was interesting.
I think that's because of the grain bins and the three-sided storage shed that's out there. So it gives the appearance of its past history that it was used for ag purposes.
It's probably zoned that too.
Okay.
Okay. Is this, do we need
Yeah.
a voice vote or?
No, I mean, if there's no objection, Stacy and I will get it in the form the next opportunity in the legal section.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Patsy.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Number 5, SGA.
Thank you.
You bet. SGA hangar deed updates, ABHN partnership.
I can give a little bit of a background. So this is a legal description mess that started back when the Fargo Air Museum added on to their hangar a couple of years ago. They put an addition on to the west. And as part of preparing that legal description, Mead and Hunt discovered that it overlapped on the legal descriptions for ABHN and what used to be called Vic's Carousel Hangar, which is now, the deed was transferred to the Fargo Air Museum. Now the hangar sizes, the footprint that was built is correct. It's just that where it was built isn't in accordance with the hand-drawn legal description that someone put together back when those hangars were put together in different tracks. So we thought we had this corrected, and I guess Stacy, you can kind of take it from there. The new legal descriptions were put together for ABHN and the Carousel Hangar back in February of 2019 by Mead and Hunt. So they are now in the proper location, and Stacy has prepared an affidavit to try and get this cleaned up with the county. And Stacy, what else can you add?
Excuse me. So this all sort of started with the JP Development sale of Vic's hangar, and then working out the Fargo Air Museum with the carousel. And in that, the ABHN hangar was included in that contract for deed. So I had to unwind that with an affidavit to remove ABHN hangar, and then that's when we discovered the original 1985 property description was off, as Sean said. So then I cleaned that up with doing a modification to the lease agreement, and then because the property description has changed, although not the size, I'll be recording that against the ABHN property with 3/4 office. So everything will be cleaned up out there, hopefully.
Any questions from anyone on that? It's been that way since '85, but it was, like I say, just well discovered within the last couple of years. So no action, I guess, taken by the board. So that
Okay.
concludes that, unless there's any other questions.
Sounds good. Bernie, I see you on the call. Glad you're here. Or Mayor, I should say. Number 6, Andy Purr's update. Well, at our last meeting, it was brought up that we needed to discuss this at the joint meeting with the Airport Authority and the city, the joint meetings that we have. So there was much discussion about it, and the action that happened was that Eric and Stacy are going to go back and look at it again, because the city felt that this would, and I'm really concentrating here because I want to make sure the conversation was very spirited, and the ultimate, well, basically what happened is the city felt that this would, if we did this, it would impact so many different things, including IT and other things which we all had a hard time kind of wrapping our arms around that. So that's why it was decided that Stacy and Eric would be working on some things. Stacy, do you have any update?
Sure. So after that meeting, Eric and I had a very lengthy call on Friday, October 2nd, where we walked through all of the same issues we walked through, and John is on the call. I think there was this feeling that by when I put together that memo for the discussion, that meant that the airport was just going to unilaterally make a decision to move the firefighters into the public safety plan. And no, it wasn't to do that. And obviously the authority did not take any action on that. It was, from my perspective, to get something on pen to paper to get this rolling. The end of that discussion, and I see Eric's not on the call, in looking at my notes, was that with this memorandum, that this puts this in the hands of the city. I mean, you've made your position clear. You have firefighters that want to transfer into that plan. They feel it's a better plan. And like Rick said at the last meeting, I mean, if this is in the best interest of city airport employees, they should have the opportunity to do so. The other part of my discussion was that we need to understand what that means, you know, the nuts and bolts of that with the city, you know, Jill Manette, HR, you know, what does that actually mean? And the example I could give is currently there's airport employees that are in the city pension that's closed, and then there's airport employees that are in Purrs. So that sort of difference in the airport employees is already happening and happened. So I just wanted to have Jill or someone from HR tell us what it means administratively for the city to do this, because we're told it can be done. And so I guess the city had a commission meeting that next Monday, and it was not on their agenda. Their next meeting, I believe, is the 19th, and that agenda is not out. So I don't know if that's something that's going to go on the city commission's agenda for discussion. But I think that the airport authority has done their due diligence. We know it can be done, and the parties need to discuss it and what's in the best interest of these firefighters. So I guess that's my update.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll just join in. It's my sense after our last meeting, and I would think that we're all in agreement. I'm like you, Chairman Lynn. I like to see things in writing.
Yep.
And so my understanding is that our HR department and our legal counsel will be reducing to writing the issues that are triggered by this, through this discussion, so we see exactly. So we're going to have, and as I see it, another group meeting of our city and MAA people, and go through those items as they're presented to us in a written document.
Okay.
Then we'll have it in front of us. That's what I am sensing is the next step.
Yep, I do too. So what's going to be the deadline, Commissioner, for them to get that done?
I believe it's probably in line for our next meeting, so it should be sooner than not.
Well, and
I would expect that this fall.
I would too, but frankly, I would like to see that document before the meeting so we can also do our due diligence on and do our own research. So if you could request that because has a meeting been set? No, I don't think it has.
I don't know.
I don't think it has, but once the meeting is set, could you make sure that we get that document at least 5 days before the meeting? Because I want to make sure, because if there are questions, this is going to be prolonged if we just get the document that day and we have questions, then we're going to kick the can down the road to the next meeting. So if we could do our due diligence as well, like the city is doing, it would just make everything work a little bit better.
That's absolutely reasonable.
Okay. MAA members, any comments?
Well, I just would like all parties
to put themselves in the seats of our firefighters and say, how would you like this to be happening to you with your retirement? And
Yeah.
just work. We've been at this for a year and a half or more, and it's just, it needs to get finished.
Okay.
No comment.
No
Madam
comment.
Chair,
Yes.
it's Chief Bush from the Fire Department.
Okay.
I just had a couple comments on what's going on.
Okay.
As firefighters, we are of a political subdivision of North Dakota. We are eligible for this benefit,
Right.
and it's frustrating for us to not be able to be excluded from the option of enrolling in this benefit. There's some big differences in the plans. One is to be able to retire at a younger age.
Okay.
And firefighting is inevitably it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
It's the ability to retire younger is important to us, and I think needs to be considered as part of this decision as well. Nobody's really told us why, given us the facts as to why we aren't being able to enroll in this benefit.
Great comments.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
at some point, this could be an issue of discrimination for those firefighters not being allowed to have a benefit that is available to them.
Good point.
And Stacy, if you can take that back to Eric and the city, I would appreciate it.
Okay. So noted. Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? Thank you, Chief Bush. And Stacy, you'll take care of that then? Thumbs up. Okay, got it. All right, thank you for the update. Airport PEC and ADK study update. The PEC, as I mentioned at the last meeting, we've taken care of the firefighters, and according to Sean, it's their last paycheck showed that we took care of them, the PEC. The next study is a hard copy. I forwarded that to Jane Pettinger about a week and a half ago. And we've had the study, and Sean is not being involved with this a lot because we choose to have it go through me. So I will forward the study to the commissioners if you would like it forwarded. I'll probably just do that anyway. And the hard copy is actually here. There are a couple questions that came up from Jane. Number one, the timeline on the new position salaries. What is the timeline to be updated? And Sean and I were talking earlier, and I think January 2021, January 1st. So is there any discussion on that? Are you okay with that, members? Yes.
I have a question. When was the last time these were reviewed?
Well, each employee is given the opportunity on an annual basis to update their job classifications, so some are rotated every few years or so, but whenever they come out, you get an opportunity to update them if need be. If there's some significant change in your duties, you get the opportunity to update it.
Which follows up to the second, the second note is that after Sean and I talked about it, one of the things that we asked employees to do that were impacted by the ADK study is to update their positions and make sure their job descriptions are updated. And so that's in the process, and I think that will be done by the beginning of November.
Yeah, sometime in early November.
Early November. So that's already in the works. And so they're updated, and what else? Job descriptions. One of the things that I think is unusual about this ADK study is, and I prefaced this at the last meeting, is that this study actually has positions that there's no comparable position at the city. So what probably would be the best is for us to take a look at maybe 3 positions that there could be some comparable positions at the city, and decide whether those 3 positions should be tallied like we did with the ARF positions. Because the other 3, you know, I just, you know, the higher positions, there's no comparable positions at the city because of all the federal guidelines and everything else, the mandates that they are responsible for. Thoughts about that?
For instance, which jobs are you speaking of?
For which ones? Executive director? You mean the
Okay.
ones,
Yeah.
those executive director, assistant executive director, and
Operations specialist.
operations specialist. So those are the 3 that are really very different. And once they've got their job descriptions updated, we could take a look at it too and see, because they're updating it and making sure that they respond to any, you know, especially with the federal government, there's so many changes that happen all the time.
So you want to review everything January 2021. I'm good at that.
Rick or John, any comments? No? Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I will proceed to email. I emailed Jane this morning, told her we'd be discussing this. I'll email, because she's got a copy of the study, and I'll give her the timeline for the job descriptions. And then we, as a PEC, will set up another meeting.
Good.
Okay? And as you get a chance to review the study, it's very interesting, but I also am going to suggest that when we meet as a PEC, that we have ADK on, as a presentation. Because the PEC members did look at, or some of them did look at the presentation made by ADK for the ARF employees. But this one is much more, I've gone through this with a really fine-tooth comb. This is much greater detail and much different than that study. And because of the high level of positions, when I spent time with ADK on the phone, the comparables for some of the airports are much different for these positions than they were for the ARF positions. So, and I think that's something she should be able to share with us. Any questions? John?
Yeah, I was just, this will go through the PEC, so I imagine you use the same process that you've used on the other ones, so I wouldn't start changing your process now.
But John, if we have apples here and we've got apples at the city, then it's fine. But if we have apples here and there's no comparable at the city, you know, the process really, that's where we as a PEC have to really look at it and say, you know, how many of, you know, does a city manager at, or whomever we're trying to compare, like the executive director to, do they have all the FAA, do they have all the federal regulations, the responsibilities? If they don't, then we're not really, and I don't know, the PC will decide this.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that typically it's a decision band method, it's an algorithm, and the job is classified based on the duties, and comparison isn't a big part of that. So I don't want to get into the theory with you, but the PEC would just continue with the same process they've done before.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe grant our new guru there with decision band method, and, you know, creating positions and top level. I would just want to use the same procedures and as you know they have looking at those. One of the things the decision band method attempting to do is to rate each job on its requirements, qualifications, capability, and so you don't leverage back and forth between comparativeness.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okey doke, thank you. And I see John's Most of us are very familiar, or at least I know I am, with the decision band method, so I do understand what you're saying, John. Okay, number 8. We don't need any, or should we accept the 80K study?
They haven't officially received it that I'm
Yeah,
aware of.
yeah.
Okay, they just got a copy. So at the next meeting, the MAA will officially accept the study. If there's any questions, we can address it at that time. Discuss the airport strategic plan. Most airports, and maybe Mike, you want to address this.
Well, I just I look at the current strategic plan, and it's largely the FAA's idea on where we should go construction-wise
Yep.
and what's our priorities. But it doesn't usually have anything in it for a mission statement, vision statement, goals, objectives,
Yep.
our view of how we treat employees,
Yep.
who is our customers,
Yep.
and some of the standard things you'd have in a strategic plan. So I just like to see if, and I went through and found some other airports and looked at mission statements and their objectives, and just would like to maybe have a subcommittee,
Yep.
2 of us that look at this and come back later on with
I
something
think,
for.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Strategic plan.
In business, we'd always, I helped write strategic plans, and I think it's really important for the overall direction and just to put it in writing, like you said. And so everybody has a crystal clear focus of who we are and what our goals and objectives are. So, is there anyone that would like to offer to work with Mike? Would you, Mike, on this plan? Okay. If not, I would be happy to.
Okay.
Okay, sounds
I
good.
would be happy to as well. I was just gonna see who else was gonna go.
And maybe the first step is to give us let us see what some other airports, because you've done the due diligence.
Well, just started.
Just started,
Just started,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so we will set, either Eric or I will meet with Mike and we'll decide that and move forward with a subcommittee meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. 9, adopt the resolution of appreciation for retiring our Assistant Chief, Jonathan Gibson.
Yeah, Assistant Chief Gibson has announced his retirement this month after 30 years of firefighting, actually a total of 36, including 6 years of military service. So very distinguished career and a unique career at that in airport rescue and firefighting. So we'll be sad to see John go, and the replacement process has already been initiated and promotions have been done within, so we're now looking for a firefighter at the entry level to come in to be part of that team over there at the fire department. So on Friday at 3 o'clock, Chief, I believe they're gonna have a little get together for John over at the fire station, so I guess you're welcome to attend that if you'd like to. A little presentation for him. But yeah, we're grateful for his service, and 36 years, a long time in that unique, distinguished career.
Wow, that's great.
Anything to add, Chief?
No, I think you did a pretty good job of covering it. He got in the same year I did, and he's done an excellent job in assisting with the transition when we moved from the military to the airport side. He's just been a wonderful asset for the department. He will be missed.
Oh, that's great. Well, make sure that, we'll make sure to, can we do something on behalf of the MAA?
There is a plaque that he will.
Perfect, perfect, okay, that's great.
And we're hoping you'll still want to come back and maybe plow some snow this winter. We do have some positions open there. Maybe cut grass next summer, so no pressure, keep you busy
Good,
doing something.
great.
We'll keep working on him.
Good, thank you, Chief. Last, airport construction and security update.
Terry, do you want to go through the snow removal equipment building? Terry? Terry Stroh?
Still on mute.
How about John, do you want to go through the cargo apron? Or Jeff? Who's on? Is it John?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. This is Jeff.
Okay.
So, on the cargo apron side, things are actually starting to wind down for the construction year. They'll be wrapping things up. Given that there'll still be a lot of work going on over the course of the next this week and next. So they have finished construction of the underground concrete storage tank for the glycol containment, and they'll begin, if they haven't already, to backfill that here this week. Thursday of this week, they're going to be paving a portion of the concrete road that sits on the west side of Bemidji Air, and then they'll also begin their bituminous paving of the cargo apron itself. So, given the fantastic construction weather we've had this fall and the amount of work that they've been able to get done, they're really set up well for spring of 2021 to get going right away. So, I mean, they've made fantastic progress, and am very impressed with how well things have gone. So we're set up well. So,
That's
any
great.
questions on that?
Hey Jeff, are they just going to leave it unpaved all winter and then pour cement in the spring?
Correct. There'll be a layer of bituminous pavement over the recycled concrete base. So
Okay.
it won't be exposed over the winter.
Well, like, a lot of people usually send pictures of their grandkids to friends and spouses. I don't have any grandkids. My 3 sons don't even have girlfriends. So what did I do? When Darren took me out, I took pictures and sent them to my husband. It's very impressive. It is really amazing. So, thanks for the time again.
That's good.
Yep.
All right. Anything
Madam
else?
Chair, I'm back now.
Okay.
I was, somehow I got kicked off.
Oh,
All right. The floor is yours,
This is
Terry.
Terry Stroh, so
yep.
sorry for that. For some reason I got kicked off. I don't know why. Anyway, so right now what they're doing is, I'm sure you've driven past, and you will again today when you leave. All the steel's up, all the masonry up. We've had a little hiccup with regards to some camber in the trusses for the roof that nobody took in account from. The steel manufacturer didn't tell the contractor about the camber in the roof, and so they're getting some additional material because they laid up the masonry on the south side to match the roof pitch. But camber is basically, it's like the truss is bent, is kind of in a slight curve, and so technically when you put it on, it's supposed to kind of settle down. And it helps with the structural integrity of it, but evidently it didn't really flatten out like they thought it would be, and so they're doing some modifications on those block walls. They've poured the entire east side of the concrete paving. They'll do that, next Monday. They're preparing that right now with fabric in Class 5. The perimeter decking will be done by the end of the week. Metal panels start on Monday, so they have those there, and they're starting, so that's the enclosure, basically the walls, so they'll start doing that. And they're going to be pouring some last of the foundations today on the addition. I sent Sean a schedule. We are pushed out a little farther than what we were hoping
we're probably, I'm guessing, a month behind schedule because of various things. But looks like we'll have it enclosed by towards the end of November, beginning of December in terms of the whole building, and then they got some of the kind of the inside stuff with regards to that break room area and locker rooms and stuff like that, and some mechanical and things like that to just start on. So I'm not real sure with regards to what we can convince the inspection department to do with regards to possibly housing equipment when a building isn't complete. So we would definitely have to have exhaust issues and stuff like that handled before we could put equipment in there. We're getting close to getting paving done around the fuel island, so hopefully sooner than later we'll have that up and running, so they'll at least have their fueling station ready to go. Any questions?
Overhead crane.
Yeah, I've got a question, Terry. This is Mike. Does this camber issue affect the roof drainage?
No, you wouldn't even know it. But it's in a, the building's quite large, and so when it's a super slight thing, so it's a matter of inches actually in 100 some feet. So it's not going to affect any kind of drainage or anything. It's a matter of we need to make sure that we have kind of a closure between the sand, not so much, but more the salt than anything. So we have on that south side, we have a sand storage and a salt storage area, and the salt storage gets to be quite corrosive, and so and then we actually have a physical outward barrier there that we have to maintain from a code perspective. So it's really more about getting that sealed up than anything. It's not structural. There's no issues with drainage or anything.
Okay, thanks.
Overhead crane. Do we have to approve that?
Yeah, I guess,
Terry, it's very,
Yep.
very impressive building. Just amazing. It's well needed.
so I think as
Yeah,
part of,
it's going to really be great for them.
Yeah.
so I think as part of this conversation here, and we have a few more items to go on this, Darren and Henry and Troy, our mechanic, have been working on a overhead crane that needs to be put into this building. It was not part of the snow removal equipment bidding process. It was something identified as being provided by the owner. So just yesterday, I believe they finalized getting the quotes from 3 different companies, and the lowest and best proposal we believe is from Pro Industrial LLC for $61,205. And there are some significant lead times on acquiring this. It does meet the Buy American clauses, but it's not eligible for any federal funding. We may be able to get it eligible for CARES funding in the future, but at this point it's something that we will provide and be used for the mechanics. So we'd request your consideration today to accept the quotation from Pro Industrial LLC for $61,205.
Motion to accept.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
I will second that.
Thank you, Eric. It's been,
Madam Chair.
yes,
Madam Chair.
yeah,
Just a question.
yes.
Do we have a purchasing policy where we have to follow any guidelines there typically, and we get into that range? And I'm not familiar enough here as a member, but is there any policy we have to follow here?
Okay.
We do have a purchasing policy, and this will fall within those guidelines, even if we were to sole source because it's specialized equipment. But yeah, it just we would attempt to obtain at least 3 informal bids. We engaged, Darren, was it 4 contractors and only 3 responded?
3.
Or 3?
It was 4 bids.
Oh.
Okay, 3 contractors but 4 bids. Okay. That we received. So
I was just curious there and what the thresholds were for bids or
Yep.
competitive bids or anything else.
No, good question. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, just for a point of the reason why we do that, these crane companies are real specific. We basically know what they need to set it on, and the reason why we have the owners buy it is because they really have nothing to do with the general contractor. So they come in completely, the general contractor hardly has anything to do with them at all. Like, the electrician has to wire it, and that's it. So we try to, that way we avoid the overhead and profit that the general contractor has, because it just makes it easier. Not to mention, they're very specific. There's so many options in cranes today. It's better to have Henry and Darren and those guys working with them direct, getting what they want. So.
And all of the proposers worked with Joe Jenny, Terry, so thanks for Joe to answer questions. Joe then would engage them with the structural engineer as well to make sure that the crane is going to work with the roof trusses, and it all seems to have worked out fine.
Good.
And I would just like to add that, if you look at the bids, they were not that far apart.
No.
So again, they were all pretty close.
Sure.
We picked the cheapest, so I think we did our part. And I think Terry's point here is it's no sense adding their profits to an expensive piece of equipment. So that's a good idea.
Good.
All right, thanks.
I mean, the crane is a structure within the structure. It is separate. It is part of it.
So what Darren said is the crane is a structure within the structure. So that's all that we've got on that. So I guess you can vote.
Okay. And it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Haugen?
Aye.
Engen?
Aye.
Cosgriff?
Aye.
Lind?
Aye.
Lind.
Aye. Anything else that?
So we got just a few other items. So last week, the TSA, through their contractor, installed a new X-ray unit at the checkpoint. They removed the windows on the north side. We've done this before. Bring the unit in, take the other unit out. Right now, the TSA employees are going through training on that new unit. This is the unit that's the newest technology, but it's slower than the unit that they took out.
That's right.
They didn't give us any choice on that, so we'll see. There was quite a bit of chaos on the day after that they installed, where the unit was still being programmed by Raytheon. We had lines that were all over the place in the terminal, so it happened to be an Allegiant Frontier Day, and it was extremely busy, but they took care of the passengers on that.
It hasn't been operating.
Yeah, it's not operating yet, but are they doing
It
any
was,
training?
it wasn't, and it was, and it wasn't.
Okay, so it's intermittent right now in terms of working. What the surprising thing was the unit showed up, and the Raytheon tech opened it up, and the brains of the unit weren't in it, so they had to reshift the controller. Yeah, so they've had some issues, but we'll keep you in the loop on that. If there's any issues, we'll push out on social media. I see Madison, you're on there. We'll push out on social media if people need to get to the airport a little earlier, because we're down to one lane. So we'll continue to monitor that and do the best we can to tell the public to get here earlier. Passenger traffic wise, we just finished our reports yesterday. We're showing a slight improvement. As you know, August we were down 51.9% versus the previous August. In September we were down 51.8%. So we're making slow progress, but as compared to the rest of the country that's down 70 to 75%, we're showing some progress. American Airlines moved up the start of the Phoenix service with the CRJ 900 to early November. So far that's still in the schedule. American has announced significant changes in their November schedule and beyond, but so far Fargo is holding on in their decision-making progress. On the terminal building damage that occurred last week, a transport vehicle got too close to the west end of the canopy. There's some significant damage to it. It does look worse than I think what it's going to take to fix it. TF Powers came out the next day to prepare, take pictures and measure up what they need to repair it. We're still waiting for that repair bid yet from TF Powers. We do have, I think, enough panels to replace it. What they're doing is getting what's the updated cost for those panels so that we can turn it into the carrier's insurance company. And I did talk to the owner of the unit. It's Happy Auto. They're out of Malden, Massachusetts. No issues there. They're waiting for the repair quote. to come, and they'll turn it through their insurance, Arbella Mutual Insurance, and I don't see any issues there getting reimbursed for the cost of that. For the past about 3-4 months, working with Brad McAllister at SP Plus. SP Plus has a relationship with the Manchester Airport Group, and Manchester Airport Group, or MAG, is implementing what's called dynamic pricing at a number of their airports that they work with on SP Plus. And what it does is it allows people to basically prepay their parking at the airport at a reduced rate in order to drive increased usage of parking lots. And it seems to have been working fairly well at airports where they've implemented this dynamic pricing system. There is some equipment that would need to be purchased. As of yesterday, SP Plus is reviewing the contract or the proposal from MAG, and I hope to have that before us at our next meeting so we know what our investment will be. But the goal is to try and increase the usage by making it user-friendly online, doing some things with technology to increase the usage of the lot. I think the only other thing that we've got is I see Madison from Flint is on. They've been helping us out, pushing messages and so forth about Tsa Precheck that'll be held here October 26th through October 30th. Darlene Josie, our High Flyer Award winner, will be back out to help coordinate and be the host of that for the airport as they set up and do. They limited it to 210 appointments for the week, although they will take any walk-ins. So walk-ins are welcome to come out at any time. They do allocate for that. And they had over 100 appointments already, so they're over half full with the thing. I know it was pushed out on the TV and the newspaper and stuff, so Madison and Flint did that. And I think at our next meeting, if not the final one in October or first part of November, we'll probably have Tara and her team present the 2021 marketing plan. So Madison, you can give Tara a heads up on working on the 2021 marketing plan. Things are changing significantly with the airports and the messages that they're pushing out to the traveling public because of COVID. And there's lots of different examples. There's lots of roundtables that have happened on how airports are dealing with pushing the message out to the traveling public in conjunction with the airlines as well to tell people that it is safe to travel, what's being done on board the aircraft to disinfect and sanitize the aircraft before each flight departs, what airports are doing and so forth. So that'll probably be a big part of our messaging for 2021, at least the early part of the year.
Do you see us looking at rapid COVID-19 testing at the airport?
I don't. There are a handful of airports that have set up some relationships with some clinics to do screening of passengers. There's a lot of hoops to jump through with that.
Okay.
The FAA so far has declared it non-eligible for any CARES funding. I know Cedar Rapids is waiting to implement one there in a relationship with one of their healthcare providers. There might be 2 or 3 others that are attempting to do that, taking a temperature, which isn't the sole symptom, I guess, if you will, of COVID, but maybe trying to screen out people who might have a temperature, but then they have some medical advice that it's really an ear infection or a strep throat or something that's non-COVID related. They're trying to catch some of those screenings, but I don't know that that's anything that we want to get involved with.
Okay.
With
well, that's fine. We have booked a trip, and I know that we have to have our COVID test before we go to, before we can even have, go to, not just, we could get on the plane, but before we go to the resort, we have to prove to them that we have been tested. So obviously there's 5 of us, so had to buy some travel insurance there in case one of us is tested positive.
The only other thing I have is on customs, our ongoing issue with, we don't have any issues about the airport authority providing the estimated $45,000 in equipment that it's going to take to upgrade them from a T1 line to a fiber. But still I have the ongoing issues of language in the memorandum of understanding or the reimbursable agreement in terms of the airport authority taking over the monthly phone bill, if you will. And the area director from Pembina evidently did some research and they found a mixed bag. So I guess we're not the only one that isn't paying the customs phone bill. So I'm guessing that customs at some level in the country is reviewing all of those agreements that they have with the airports, which are identical, and trying to figure out the path forward. So at this point, I'm not giving in to us taking over the cost of their phone bill. but we would pay for the equipment upgrade, and so far we're kind of at a standoff there with them moving forward.
And you said that with the equipment upgrade, it's not eligible for CARES?
We don't believe so at this time because it's more of a capital outlay, but
Capital.
I think it will be in the not too distant future. The FAA is working on a revised CARES grant process. A number of airports, we haven't, we're in the process of putting forth our 5th drawdown, Joan, I think, for CARES funding that will be submitted this week. Other airports have had significant issues, and as you know, you're uploading 400 to 500 pages now of information, at least for us, to the site, and I believe the FAA has heard enough of that, and they're probably looking at trying to streamline that process, similar to what it is for AIP grants, where literally I'm uploading 2 pages of information and receiving 4.8 million here about a week ago. So
The one application, it was over 1,000 pages, isn't that what you said?
it was our second one,
first-
Joan, about 1,400 pages. Yeah.
I think that was a real I think when the mayor, I think that was kind of shocking because I don't know how many pages the city's was. It was like less than 10. And I think that was, and I can't remember what meeting it was, but I think that was a really, it was one of our collaborative meetings. I think that was a really interesting point, just the hoops, the additional hoops that airports have to jump through.
We've got a pretty good system in place between Joan and Jamie Bullock at the finance department, and
Good.
got a good accounting system in place for it, so we're not doubling up and
Good.
taking out things that we believe aren't eligible and going forth. So
Well,
so far so good on that. That's all I have.
Thank you for all the work. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Mike?
I've got one other additional comment here on today, 13th and 14th, was supposed to be the UAS Summit in Grand Forks.
Okay.
And that was slipped till the 27th and 28th.
Okay.
And I cannot attend those dates, but it'll be at the end of this month, and it is all going to be virtual now.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to listen, and that's a two-day summit. Senator Hogan usually addresses it. That group, he's going to again, and the Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition will be there, and of course we have a Air Force unit here with the Happy Hooligans, and so there might be some interesting stuff there. The FAA administrator is also going to be on the program. So if anybody wants to, you can go online and listen to the UAS Summit.
Okay.
So that's going to be the 27th and 28th.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's virtual.
It's virtual, 27th and 28th, okay. I think I've got jury duty one of those days. I know. But, yeah, we'll let you know if anyone can attend virtually. So, any other business to come before the body? Hearing none? Meeting adjourned.